Hey guys, welcome back. This week's animal of choice is the blind Mexican cavefish. With thanks to evolution, all organisms have evolved from one common ancestor, a single cell, to be specifically adapted to even the harshest of climates on Earth. From the stratosphere to the depths of the Mariana Trench, life exists in nearly every environment on Earth. Over the billions of years organisms have been evolving, history has proven you either use it or you lose it. Few animals have overlooked this logic as spectacularly as the Astyanax mexicanus. Over the past 200 million years, some of these fascinating fish have lost their eyes, and studies show that they are in the process of losing parts of their brains associated with vision too. 200 million years ago, a population of the eyed Astyanax mexicanus ventured into the depths of the ocean, inhabiting deep caves of the Nearctic ecozone. These Mexican cavefish lived in complete darkness, which left their eyesight with very little ability to aid in navigating the caves and hunting for food. Within most environments, inhabitants will possess traits and adaptations that make them best suited to their environment. This is a result of evolution. In the case of the Astyanax mexicanus, various evolutionary processes combine to result in the microevolution of the cavefish today. Firstly, given the cavefish have migrated to a new area of the ocean, it is evident genetic drift was in effect. The founder effect, a type of genetic drift, occurs when a small number of individuals colonize a new area, causing the allele frequencies to drift over the generations. In the case of the Mexican cavefish, their extraordinary evolutionary journey began here, commencing the founder effect 200 million years ago, when a small number of individuals migrated deeper into the environment, colonizing nearby caves blanketed in darkness. However, it's not just that easy. Biologists can't just take a small portion of organisms, relocate them to a new area and just sit and watch as they evolve. With regards to these fish, evolution took time. Seriously long amounts of time. According to New York University Professor of Biology Richard Borowski, these evolutionary adaptations are a result of genetic mutation. So, the answer to their survival in the dark temporarily laid in the hands of genetics. Genetic mutations can take place during the transcription or translation phases of cell division, when a mistake is made at a particular locus. These can occur in three general forms: substitutions, deletions, or insertions. As the fish reproduced and their population grew over generations, naturally, more and more genetic mutations arose. As seen in this photo, gradually these mutations affected the phenotypes of eye size in the offspring of each generation and were selected for by selective pressures, decreasing until they ultimately disappeared. These spontaneous mutations are hypothesized to have caused allele frequencies of the gene pool to alter, with an estimated 15 to 20 of genes of different loci altered by genetic mutation. But genetic mutations cannot take most of the credit here. The evolution of Mexican cavefish was a team effort. Mutations merely provided more dramatic genetic variation for natural selection, defined as the selection pressure against certain allele combinations that may result in reductions of reproductive success or lead to death. Favorable genetic and thus phenotypes within a population are maintained through the intervention of natural selection. Consequently, genetic diversity within the gene pool of the population of cavefish was reduced, thereby increasing differences between the populations at the surface and within caves. As genetic mutations to the certain 15 to 20 genes associated with vision occurred, offspring more frequently inherited the genes leading to no vision. With such genetic diversity within the population, fish without eyesight were selected for by natural selection due to the advantages of losing their unnecessary liability, eyesight. The blind cavefish evolved to have more efficient energy expenditure than fish that live in light, a direct result of the absence of eyes. In fact, a study observing the energy savings of Astyanax mexicanus concluded that their loss of visual system and associated part of the brains in the cavefish leads to a 27% energy saving when compared to their eyed relatives. For a fish that has been living in the dark depths of the ocean with irregular food supply, it's no wonder why they traded the unnecessary expenditure of the sensory system for increased energy efficiency. Such logic was supported by Charles Darwin, who wrote, "As it is difficult to imagine that eyes, though useless, could be in any way injurious to an animal living in the darkness, I attribute their loss solely to disuse." In addition, it's not only their eyes that evolution has targeted. Recently, a study compared the brains of the land-dwelling and spelunker relatives of the Astyanax mexicanus, finding that evolution is targeting the parts of their brains associated with vision, a key sign showing there's no going back now. This is evident in the following image, as the brains of their keen-sighted relatives are significantly larger in size. However, it is evident the Mexican cavefish are compensating this loss with more developed senses of touch, taste, and smell, as the associated areas are seen to be getting bigger. This is evident in the image above, where it is visible the brains of the blind cavefish have much more developed olfactory lobes, while their optic lobes are drastically reduced. In combination with more effective senses, the cavefish have developed sensory organs called neuromasts, consisting of mechanosensory hair cells, which allow them to detect changes in water pressure and thus follow the contours of the cave. With greenhouse gas emissions still on the rise, global warming will still be in effect for decades into the future. Therefore, the Earth's surface temperature is expected to rise by 0.18 degrees Celsius per decade. Although it doesn't sound like much, in the evolutionary scheme of things, those fractions of a degree will certainly add up. The Astyanax mexicanus have developed a preference for an immediate environmental temperature ranging between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius. As the surface temperature rises, so will the ocean temperatures, causing the Astyanax mexicanus to become uncomfortable and seek cooler, deeper water. Therefore, over the decades into the future, it is predicted that increasing numbers of the Astyanax mexicanus populations will find themselves in caves blanketed in darkness, given their visual systems will consume vital energy in an environment with irregular food supplies. These cavefish will be selected against by natural selection, as they will be unable to navigate the caves in the darkness, as well as their experienced spelunker relatives, whom have evolved advantageous adaptations for such harsh environments. Consequently, the allele frequencies are expected to shift, eventually resulting in the possibility that the genes for visual systems could become extinct. Furthermore, future evolutionary changes with regards to the blind Mexican cavefish's ability to detect light without eyes will also come into question. The fish's pineal gland has two roles, a hormone factory supplying its body with melatonin and a light detection system. It is hypothesized the pineal gland of the Astyanax mexicanus is still present following their loss of vital visual systems due to the selective pressures of natural selection outweighing the passive accumulation of genetic mutations that could have possibly resulted in the pineal gland's light detection capacity being lost. However, the fate of its continuation in the Astyanax mexicanus is expected to solely depend on the light abundance in areas of the caves. Blind cavefish living in and around light cavities would benefit from having such structures as they could utilize their pineal gland's ability to sense light and avoid predation by sighted predators in lit areas. Thus, the pineal gland's light sensing ability would be selected for by natural selection in this case. However, for blind fish living in caves which natural light exposure is extremely rare, such structures would be liabilities, as the energy expenditure for maintaining such structures would be wasteful. Hence, in this case, the pineal gland's ability to sense light would be selected against by selective pressures of natural selection, and thus allele frequencies would be expected to dramatically decrease, assuming interbreeding of fish from the separate areas was out of the picture. Today we have learned a lot about the blind cavefish Astyanax mexicanus. Through evolutionary processes such as genetic drift, genetic mutation, and natural selection, a species of fish once with 100% of the population having eyes now has diverged into two groups, blind spelunkers and seeing surface dwellers. At present, the cave dwellers are still evolving, and into the distant future, it is expected humans will see more and more cave-dwelling fish losing their visual systems as a result of environmental factors such as global warming, forcing the cavefish to migrate to cooler water blanketed in darkness, where the blind cavefish will be selected for by selective pressures of natural selection.